What's up, guys? Welcome back to Mike's Movie Room, and today we're going to be taking a look at and comparing the new Nightmare on Elm Street 4K box set to that old Blu-ray box set that we've had for I don't know how many years. Yes, this is the normal Blu-ray box set that's up here. I just got tired of having it in one case, so I had a custom-made Blu-ray case. So no, you can't buy this anywhere. I just had it custom-made. If you want to get something like this, Blockbuster box sets, look them up. So we're going to be taking a look at the features of both the 4K and the Blu-rays and see if there's anything new that's not on the Blu-ray that came out on the 4K, or if it's all just the same shit. We're also going to be checking out the audio transfers and seeing if there's any new types of audio. And obviously we're going to be checking out the actual quality of the transfers themselves. So we're going to go through each movie and we're going to rate it just on the quality of the transfer, not the actual movie itself. They would be completely different ratings if we were rating the movie itself and not just the transfer. And then at the end of this video, we're going to decide, is it worth it to upgrade from the Blu-ray to the 4K, or should you just go ahead and keep that Blu-ray? I know everybody's circumstances are a little different. Some people, like me, like having each movie in the box set in its individual case. That's why a lot of people, especially me, hate that Blu-ray case because they all come in just one case and not their individual cases. And then some movies even come 2 movies to 1 disc. So if you care about that shit on top of the quality of the 4K transfer, 100% definitely upgrade. And if you just have like the DVD or something, for sure upgrade to the 4K, but it really just all depends on what you're looking for. And obviously the quality will vary depending on what type of equipment you have. So what type of TV you're using, what type of Blu-ray player are you using? Are you using like an actual set 4K Blu-ray player, or are you using like a PS5 or an Xbox? And obviously the TV. So I have a 4K OLED TV, so I know it'll probably look a little different comparing a 4K OLED to like an LED. So just keep that in mind when we're doing these comparisons. Results may vary. And one more thing before I forget, if you guys weren't able to get the Steelbook version of the 4K box set, it is the same exact thing as the standard 4K set, so you're not missing anything other than them just being in individual cases. Like all the features you're gonna get on the Steelbook are exactly the same on the standard 4K set, so you got nothing to worry about there. You're not missing out. And like always, guys, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you like content like this and want to see more, don't forget to follow me on TikTok, where I post a lot of videos that I don't actually get to post on YouTube, and I also try and go live on there as well. I'm still trying to figure out the whole live YouTube thing, but we're getting there. But all right, guys, enough chit chat. Let's get into it. All right, so we're going to be checking out the menus of both the 4K discs and the Blu-rays. We're going to be comparing the audio settings and the different special features to see if there's anything new on the 4K transfer compared to the Blu-rays. And then we're going to be taking a look at a few clips from each movie and comparing the 4K transfer to the Blu-ray, starting off with the one that started it all, the original Nightmare on Elm Street. So starting with the audio options, on the 4K we have Dolby Atmos English Remastered and the original theatrical, and on the Blu-ray we have DTS Surround, if I'm not mistaken, and then the mono track. Then going on down to special features, we have commentaries, theatrical only, because the 4K has the uncut version, and honestly, the special features are exactly the same on both of these. So we have 2 different audio commentaries with the cast and crew and filmmaker. It does kind of suck that they didn't add any new special features or anything, because we've been waiting for a good 4K box set or just box set in general of Nightmare on Elm Street. So it would have been cool to get some new behind the scenes features or just something. Like, all this stuff is exactly the same. The focus points, all the same. I actually didn't click on it on the Blu-ray by accident, but it's absolutely the same thing that you're seeing here for the 4K set. Just a bunch of different alternative takes for certain scenes. Honestly, for all the hype around this set, this is a bare bones set, man. There's like nothing new on here. Even, we'll get to that later, but even the 3D glasses, they only give you one. Because so you can't even watch it with a friend if you even want to watch Freddy's Dead, but we'll talk about that later. But just the fact that we've waited so long for a new 4K set or just box set in general, where it's not just all mashed together 2 movies on 1 disc, they could have done better than this, guys. Come on. I mean, the whole Amazon issue with the Steelbook, if you chose to go that route, it was just a crazy release, and they could have given us something better. I mean, if you guys haven't skipped forward already, look at this. This is all the same stuff, man. All the same alternate endings, just everything from the set before this. I mean, it's cool that we got it in 4K, and it's cool that we got them in the individual cases if you were able to get the Steelbook, which hopefully you guys were if you guys wanted that particular set. But just the standard regular 4K set, it just comes in one case. I mean, they're individual discs, but it's still just one case. But all right, guys, rant over. Let's go ahead and play these movies side by side and see if it's worth it to upgrade from Blu-ray to 4K. So the quality is going to look better in person because I am just filming these off my TV with my camera. But the 4K is definitely way more noticeable. I mean, you can see it clearer in certain scenes when you're looking at it on this YouTube video. Like right here, for example, you can see the water a lot more clear. There's like way more texture. But it doesn't really look super substantial if you're just looking at it here. And honestly, if you don't have an OLED TV, I really don't know how much it's going to pop, because like I said earlier, I am looking at these on an OLED TV, so it also makes the Blu-ray look really, really good. It looks more noticeable in certain scenes than others. So like here, for example, I'm going to pause it in a second, but if you take a look at the car and look from left to right, this is where you can kind of see the differences in what I'm talking about. And I don't know how noticeable it will be if you're just looking at it on a regular TV versus an OLED. But the color of the car, the actual red, it pops a lot more. Colors are more vibrant. The HDR definitely makes certain scenes pop, especially at nighttime. Just the little things. If you actually look at this little brown post here in front of the door, you can see the texture more on the 4K than the actual Blu-ray. It's just the tiny little details. Like, it's more vibrant and you can see a lot more texture and a lot more color. But I will say that on the Blu-ray, it does have a more blue tone to it. So that blue hue that's usually in like the old horror movies like Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street, especially the first few, it's got that shade of blue way more to it, especially you can tell more on this scene. More blue, but on the left, there's more detail, if that makes sense. So you kind of have to pick and choose, because I definitely do like that blue color, but I also like the detail. Like, you can see the detail on his face way more on the 4K, especially here in the boiler room scene. That's when you can start noticing a lot of differences between the two. On the left, the 4K is a lot more clear, where it's a little blurry on the right for the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray has a lot more things hidden in the shadows and is more dark, where it's more vibrant, and you can see a lot more detail on the 4K. I like when things are dark, but I definitely like the 4K transfer on this one. I honestly think this is the best A Nightmare on Elm Street has ever looked. I mean, this is a 5 out of 5 for me on the transfer, honestly. I would recommend at least getting the first one on 4K for anybody who wants to just see this movie the best it can look, especially if you have an OLED. I mean, if you have just a regular 4K TV, I'm sure it'll look fantastic on there too, but it's definitely noticeable and it definitely pops on the OLED. Now moving on to the next, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. Honestly, I was a little disappointed with this transfer because half of the scenes look really good and then the other half, it looks really terrible. You'll see what I'm talking about in a little bit, but the Blu-ray looks better in certain scenes than the 4K transfer, which I don't understand, and it makes me hate this movie even more. I already hate Part 2. It just doesn't feel like a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. It doesn't feel like Freddy Krueger. He feels more like a demon than Freddy Krueger, because it breaks the one rule of him being able to come out of dreams and just be in the real world. That whole scene was just nonsensical, and this is not a Freddy Krueger movie I ever really want to watch. The design of Freddy's cool in this one. He looks his scariest, but I don't really prefer this movie. All right, now checking out the audio. We have on the 4K, the Dolby Atmos, and then on the Blu-ray, the DTS-HD master audio, as well as the theatrical on both. And then on the 4K, we have the same exact special features that are on the Blu-ray. Nothing new. They ain't want to help us out at all. Just give us a mediocre set that comes in the mail all bent because Amazon sucks. Now moving on to some actual clips from the movie. If you look here on the right, the Blu-ray, it looks a lot more clear than on the left. It looks really washed out, and the actual nightmare, especially in person, looks really bad. It's like really hard to read depending what TV you watch it on. And then the nighttime scenes, the same thing. The 4K looks really washed out, where the Blu-ray actually looks really good. I don't understand why this looks this way, but it does. Here, I'll give it to the 4K. The 4K actually looks a lot more clear, where on the Blu-ray, it's really dark and kind of washed out. So this is what I meant by certain scenes look better on the 4K versus the Blu-ray, and then it kind of flip-flops. But this scene in particular actually does look pretty good on the 4K, especially when Freddy peels his head back here. You can actually see his face versus in the Blu-ray, it's really dark. Now on to another daytime scene. Honestly, the Blu-ray, it does look a little bit more vibrant than the actual 4K, but the 4K, I will say that you can see more detail. Same as here in the dark, you can see a little bit more detail on the 4K, but honestly, not that impressed with this transfer, same as the movie in general. Alright guys, so Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, one of my least favorite movies, and one of my least favorite transfers on this box set. Honestly, I've been going back and forth on what I was going to give it, but I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 stars. It's not too bad, it's okay in certain scenes, but others it just looks abysmal. So yeah, I got to give it a 3 out of 5. I was going to do 3.5, but giving it a 3 out of 5. Up next is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. Depending on what day you ask me, I'd say this is my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street, right behind the first one. Those two movies could honestly flip-flop back and forth depending on what day you ask me, but I was pleasantly surprised with this transfer. There are a few things that I kind of like more on the Blu-ray, to be completely honest, which we're going to take a look at, but I'm really happy with this transfer, especially after watching Part 2 on 4K and being disappointed with that. And on the main menu, we check out the audio features, and on the 4K, we obviously have the English remastered in Dolby Atmos, and on the Blu-ray, we have the English DTS-HD mastered audio, as well as the original theatrical on both. And then we have the same exact behind-the-scenes features that we have on the Blu-ray. Absolutely nothing new. This is going to be a continuous thing with this set because there's absolutely no new special features, man. What the fuck? So moving on to the quality of the actual transfer itself, once again, like I was talking about, that blue tint is way more prominent on the Blu-ray, but the 4K, it is a lot more clear. It has less grain. It still has that like old school horror movie grain to it. It's just way more clear. So honestly, it does kind of suck that it takes away from that crazy blue because it kind of gets rid of some of the atmosphere, but it's still really clear and levels above Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. But interestingly enough, the Blu-ray actually looks a little bit better in this scene than the 4K. You can actually see a lot more detail and quality than you can on the 4K, so that's pretty interesting because the beginning of this movie looked amazing. Here as well, so there's a way different color when Freddy Krueger gets up when he's that giant worm thing, which we're about to take a look at. So give me your opinions down in the comments what looks better. I think the Blu-ray looks better on this particular scene right here as well. Same as this scene right here. It looks better with that blue tint, but there is way more detail on the 4K, especially when it gets close up on the clay here. You could just see it a lot better. It's way more dark on the Blu-ray versus the 4K. So the Blu-ray, you have more blue and it's more dark. 4K, it's more colorful, things are more lit up, and it's not as grainy. But honestly, I'm really happy with this transfer. I mean, the things I love about it definitely outweigh the few issues I have with it. Like I said, there's a few scenes where the Blu-ray looks a little better, but overall, the quality of this movie looks fantastic in 4K. I just wish they kept more of that blue tint. Comment down below and let me know what you guys think about that, but I definitely prefer the atmosphere of the Blu-ray compared to the 4K. But overall, I'm really happy with this movie. It's super beautiful in 4K, and honestly, I'm going to have to give this 4 out of 5 stars. It would have been 5 out of 5 if it didn't have a few issues with certain scenes. Up next is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master. This is MTV Freddy. This is directed by Rennie Harlan. They notoriously did not have a full script or a script at all. They just started kind of shooting nightmare sequences and then building a story around that, which I'm surprised that they got a decent movie, I guess, if you want to call that this. But yeah, this is when MTV was really big, so it has all these crazy MTV colors is the best way to describe this movie. It's like a music video. It's lit super crazy. Freddy Krueger is at the beach with sunglasses on. It's extremely vibrant. I never really cared for this movie as a child or as an adult, so it's never one I really revisit too often. I can never even really remember this movie other than they killed all the Dream Warriors in the first like 20 minutes. Don't understand what that is. Moving on to the menus. For the audio on the 4K, we obviously have the remastered audio with Dolby Atmos, and then we have the original theatrical audio. And on the Blu-ray, we have the DTS-HD master audio, as well as the original theatrical audio as well. And then for special features, we have no new special features on the 4K. It's the same stuff that we had on the Blu-ray. They really did give us nothing new. But moving on to the clips, let's check out the quality of the transfer. I hate this movie, but I actually really love the transfer. It keeps that blue tint that I've been talking about. If you look over on the left, honestly, I think this movie looks amazing. I can talk shit about the movie, but not the transfer. Here's that beach scene that honestly makes no sense. I get it's a nightmare, but Freddy's supposed to be in like scary places, boiler rooms, not out in the sun and in a tropical area. But if you look over on the left, you can definitely see it has more of a vibrant look to it. It might look a little washed out on the video, but in real life, it actually looks really clear and pristine. You can see on the 4K that Freddy's face is lit up way more, and you can see a lot more detail. I will say that this is where I feel like his makeup starts going downhill. I prefer how he looks in the first three, especially the first one with all that dangling flesh. But yeah, this transfer is actually pretty impressive. I have to give it that. Maybe it's because the movie is already extremely colorful in general. Like I said, this is MTV Freddy. Has all these extreme vibrant colors. If you look here in this little tunnel thing that he's got going on, it's just an extremely colorful movie. And the 4K transfer, I have to give it to this one. It's one of the better looking transfers in this box set. So yeah, honestly, I don't care for the movie, but as for the transfer, Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, it's honestly a fantastic transfer, and I'm going to give this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. The only reason it's above Dream Warriors is honestly because it keeps that kind of tone, if that makes sense. Not the tone of the overall movie, but how it looks. The color grading, it keeps that kind of blue tint that I was complaining about in the other movies. So for that, I'm going to have to give it the 4.5 stars, but I don't care for this movie and I won't revisit it much. All right, guys, up next is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, The Dream Child. When I was little, this was the one I watched the most behind Part 1 and Part 3. Probably because it shows Freddy the most, but as an adult, this movie's absolutely terrible. Had a good concept, but the execution was just abysmal. This is when it started to become just a joke. Freddy was just cracking all these one-liners. He's not even scary anymore. I just don't care for this movie in general. The characters are forgettable. The kills are forgettable. I mean, the uncut version is a little better. Honestly, the best kill in this movie is still the motorcycle scene, which you get the uncut version of that, which is pretty cool. And it was cool to go through and watch the movie uncut with all the kills intact, but still, this is not a good movie. I hate the ending. This is definitely up there on the Nightmare on Elm Streets that I would not go back and revisit. I'd probably watch Part 4 over this, but honestly, Part 4 is hard to get through as well. But honestly, enough complaining. Let's check out how the transfer compares to the Blu-ray. And onto the menu for the audio on the 4K. We have the Dolby Atmos remastered audio as well as the original theatrical. And on the Blu-ray, we have the DTS-HD master audio, as well as the original theatrical as well. And then if we go to the special features, once again, all the same special features that were on the Blu-ray. Nothing new for us. The only thing we got new was the uncut version, which is pretty cool, but it would still be cool if we could get some type of behind the scenes, like of them talking about the uncut version and what's different, just something new, but basic stuff here. All right, this is going to be a quick one because honestly, the transfer is about as memorable as the movie itself, which isn't saying much. The transfer's okay, but there's honestly nothing that makes it stand out. There's Robert Englund, fun fact, he plays Freddy Krueger if you didn't know, but you should if you're a fan of this franchise. But even these church scenes with the vibrant colors, it's honestly, nothing really pops like the other movies. So it's kind of like the only thing they did was give us the uncut version and then a basic transfer. Even the pool scene here, you can barely tell the difference from the 4K to the actual Blu-ray. So even the black and white scenes, because honestly, black and white looks fantastic in some transfers, but here, it's just basic. There's not much else to say. All right, guys, so this transfer is about as memorable as the movie itself, which is not saying much. I've never been a fan of this movie as an adult. Like I said, as a kid, I enjoyed it. But this is not the movie for me if I'm going to watch a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. The 4K transfer is barely noticeable. Honestly, it looks almost identical to the Blu-ray. If you guys feel different, drop a comment and let me know. And if I ever did a ranking for the Nightmare on Elm Streets, this would honestly be on the lower end. I have no interest in going back and watching this movie. Seeing the uncut version was pretty cool and seeing all the kills put back. But this isn't a Friday the 13th Part 7 situation, which that movie I don't go and watch that much, but if they ever came out with an uncut version, it would make that movie like 1 or 2 stars better. This, seeing the uncut version, it didn't make the movie any better. So honestly, I'm going to give this 2.5 out of 5 stars for the transfer. It's just not memorable and it's going to be sitting on my shelf and it's not going to be a rewatch for a long time. And up next, they did not save the best for last, because we're talking about Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. Now, I don't think I've met anybody that enjoys this movie. There might be some people that it's a guilty pleasure, but this pissed me off, and this honestly ended the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise for a long time. So number one, they did come out with the 2D and the 3D version of this movie, but just be aware that this is not the Blu-ray 3D. This is the normal red and blue little paper glasses, and they don't even give you two. They give you one pair of 3D glasses. The 3D transfer honestly looks trash. This movie is horrible. Don't know why it's made. They turned him into a cartoon character, pretty much, is the best way to explain it. Like, this movie is absolute trash. The transfer is not good, in my opinion. I feel like they were just like, hey, this movie's shit. Nobody's really going to watch it, so let's just give it a basic 4K transfer. Nothing in this movie pops. This is the worst Nightmare on Elm Street movie, in my opinion, and I think most fans' opinions. There's not much else to say about this movie, so let's just get into the comparison. So on the main menu of the 4K disc, for the audio settings, we have the remastered audio and Dolby Atmos and the original theatrical, and on the Blu-ray we have the DTS-HD audio as well as the original theatrical as well. And for the special features, the same stuff that's on the Blu-ray once again. Absolutely nothing new. So let's get into this shitty movie and check out the quality of the transfer. Honestly, the transfer for this movie is about as shit as the movie itself. It's like they didn't put any effort into this. Once again, you can barely tell the quality difference at all. I guess the 4K is a little bit better on the clarity, but really it's not that big of a difference. Even here in the daytime scenes, honestly, the Blu-ray might be looking a little bit better than the 4K here. You can see a little bit of detail close up on the wood on the 4K, but honestly, it doesn't pop like the earlier movies that we were talking about. Even here with the rain, the nighttime scenes just don't pop like the earlier movies. I just don't understand why this transfer did not come out very good. Maybe it's just because this movie is just shit in general. But yeah, nothing really impressive here, to be completely honest. Even here, when Freddy's getting possessed by the little worm demon floating things, the bottle looked pretty clear right there. I'll give this that. On the 4K, that bottle coming in, that looked pretty clear. But if that's the high point for a transfer of a movie, then that's pretty bad. The fire looks good. Honestly, this scene is where you can see it the most. It looks the best right here. You can definitely tell the difference between the 4K and the Blu-ray. But honestly, not that big of a jump in quality, to be completely honest. Just not that good of a movie. So how does Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare hold up on the 4K transfer? Honestly, it's the least impressive out of all of these movies on this set. I don't like the movie, and honestly, I don't like the transfer. It's like they literally did the bare minimum on this fucking movie. This is just trash. I know I'm hating on it, but I hate this movie so much. Every time I have to talk about it, it gets me heated. So we're going to give this, and I'm being nice here, 1.5 stars for the transfer. And that's it, and we're moving on to the next movie. Alrighty guys, last but not least, we have Wes Craven's New Nightmare. So this is back to form. This is Wes Craven taking control again. And I really like this movie, man. Now, this isn't really a nightmare movie that I put on too much, because it doesn't really feel like a Freddy Krueger movie, kind of like Part 2. It's more of like a demon taking the form of Freddy Krueger, which it's cool. I just wish there was more of Freddy actually in it. I guess they were taking like a Jaws approach and keeping him in the shadows, trying to make him scary again, which I appreciate. But there's really only 2 kills in this movie, and they're kind of rip-offs from other movies. Like there's the truck kill that's from Part 5, and then there's the kill from Part 1 where she's being dragged up the wall of the hospital. But this still is a fantastic movie, and honestly, the transfer looks pretty good. We're going to take a look at it here in a second, but it's almost like the people who were doing the 4K transfer for this box set kind of knew which ones to take their time on, because the shitty movies honestly don't really look that good. And like Freddy's Dead, that was a shit transfer. If you thought it looked good, you can fight me in the comments about it, but it honestly just looked horrible. And then Wes Craven's New Nightmare, it actually looks really good. But let's get into it. Alright guys, so starting off with the main menus, it's all the same features that were on the other movies, but let's get into them. On the 4K disc for the audio, we have the English remastered in Dolby Atmos and the original theatrical audio. And on the Blu-ray, we have the English DTS-HD master audio, as well as the original theatrical as well. And then moving on to the special features, absolutely nothing new once again, just the same special features transferred over from the actual Blu-ray. So now let's check out the actual quality of the transfer. And just like some of the other movies we were checking out earlier, some things look better on the 4K and then some things look better on the Blu-ray. So I know this looks a little washed out here, but when I was looking at it in person, it definitely looks a lot more clear. I guess my camera just picked up a little bit of glare, but I will say that on the 4K, it has more detail, and on the Blu-ray, it has more shadows and more dark scenes like we were talking about. Here, you can't really tell too much of a difference, but in this next scene, especially with the coffin, that's definitely where the 4K stands out. She's more pale in the Blu-ray where she has more color in the 4K. So like I said, some scenes we give it to the 4K, some scenes we give it to the Blu-ray. It just depends on what it's showing. And then here at Freddy's lair, I think it looks better on the Blu-ray, just the coloring of Freddy's makeup. I even double checked and made sure that I didn't accidentally put the 4K footage on the right as the Blu-ray, but the Blu-ray looks better on this one, in my opinion. But honestly, the ending scene especially, I prefer the Blu-ray. I just think the coloring is better. And I don't really understand why some of these movies are so inconsistent with how the 4K transfer actually looks. Overall, it's just a great film in general, and it's a pretty good 4K transfer. I'll definitely be checking this out on 4K numerous times. Like I said, there were some scenes that look better on Blu-ray, but overall, it's such a small amount of scenes that look better on the Blu-ray that I'll still check it out on 4K and prefer it on 4K, because honestly, it looks really, really good. Just like the first and third Nightmare, it looks really clear. And that's why I'm giving this transfer a 4 out of 5 stars. Alright guys, so we just finished taking a look at and comparing the 4K transfer of the Nightmare on Elm Street box set to the old Blu-rays that we've had for I don't know how long. So if you're a diehard horror fan or just a horror fan in general, you love Nightmare on Elm Street, if you only have them on DVD, or if you have them on Blu-ray and just want to get that extra oomph in quality, or if you just especially want them on their separate discs, I know I'm like a little bitch about that, but I love them in their own individual cases, then yes, definitely upgrade. If you don't really care and you're happy to have them on Blu-ray and you don't mind them being in just like one little case, then maybe this upgrade isn't worth it for you, mainly because there's absolutely no new special features, no new commentaries. It's like they just did the bare bones minimum and just gave us a 4K transfer, which if you guys watch this whole video, the Blu-rays look better on certain movies than the 4Ks do. It just seems like they just kind of threw it together and then threw it out to us. It honestly would have been cool if we had 2 different 4K versions. I know we kind of do, but I'm talking about box sets. I'm not just talking about Steelbook individual cases and then that small little set that we have. It would have been cool if we had Steelbook option and then a regular just Blu-ray case option. Instead, you have to either choose on the limited edition Steelbook, which a lot of people didn't even get, or go for just a smaller compacted version. Yeah, I mean, if all of these were 5 out of 5 in 4K transfers, then definitely no brainer. Go out and get this no matter what. But some of them honestly look trash. I mean, Nightmare 1, Nightmare 3, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and even Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. Those look great, but a lot of the other ones look kind of rough in my opinion. Drop a comment below and let me know what you guys think. Am I tripping? But it doesn't look that good. The Blu-ray looks better on some of them. It takes away some of the atmosphere because they get rid of that like blue hue that's in a lot of the Nightmare movies, especially in like the first few. So I didn't really understand that. I mean, the audio sounds great on the 4K. The Dolby Atmos, it's the best a Nightmare on Elm Street has ever sounded. But I do have a few issues. I don't know if they redid some of the sound effects, but there's a lot of muted effects that like I remember on the DVD, VHS, even the Blu-ray transfer. For instance, when Tina falls from the ceiling and crashes, it makes this huge like crashing sound on the Blu-ray and on the VHS and on the DVD. If you watch the remastered audio on the 4K, it's like this muted. But other than that, the audio is fantastic. So honestly, if you guys just want this for a little bit of a quality jump, and then you want that Dolby Atmos, then definitely get it because all of them sound fantastic. Even if some of them look like shit, they all sound fantastic. So overall, yes, I definitely recommend upgrading, especially if you want to hear that Dolby Atmos, and if you just like having movies look their best. I know some of them, like I keep ranting about, don't look that good, but the ones that do look great, they look fantastic, and it's the best Nightmare on Elm Street has ever looked. But as for the box set overall, I'm gonna have to give this thing 3.5 out of 5 stars. It would be higher if every single movie looked great in 4K, And honestly, it would have been higher if we would have had some better special features, but we just have the same special features that we've had for years. No new commentaries, no new behind the scenes, nothing. So just kind of a bare bones set, absolutely nothing new, not even new artwork if you care about that. I'm the type of person that likes original artwork. But if we're talking about the Steelbook, I've talked about this on my actual review for the set. It's still the original artwork, but they like muted the color. I don't know why they did that, but it's like all dull and I don't know, but yeah, guys, I'm happy to have these movies on 4K. I just wish one day, hopefully sometime soon, Arrow Video or Shout Factory gets to do this, because they would give us a set that we deserve as fans, and they would do the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise justice. But anyways, guys, rant over. I appreciate you guys watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I appreciate everybody that supports the channel. Don't forget to drop a comment below and let me know what your opinions are on this 4K set and what your opinions are on the actual transfers of the movies. Do you guys agree with me, or do you guys think I was being a little too hard on this release? But yeah, I love talking to you guys, so definitely drop a comment below and let me know how you guys like this video. And let me know what type of video you guys want to see me do next. Till next time, Mike's Movie Room, I'm out of here.